And all I'm saying is you need a president at this time in history who can stand up to his bureaucracy. Because the bureaucrats, the bureaucracies are owned by the industries. I'm talking about, NIH and EPA and CDC and FDA and DOT and train wreck would not have happened in East Palestine except we have a captive agency at DOT. Our food is terrible because the food companies and the pesticide companies own USDA. We're in constant wars because the military-industrial complex, the big contractors, own CIA. Now, I want to make this clear. I do not believe that everybody at CIA is a bad person. My daughter-in-law, Amaryllis, who is one of the top officers on this campaign, spent her entire career as a clandestine agent or the CIA as a spy in the weapons of mass destruction program in some of the most dangerous parts of the earth. And I have never met anybody with such courage. And that's how most of the 22,000 people at CIA are. They're people who are patriots, they're people who are good public servants, and they're people of enormous courage and idealism. And that's the same with most of our agencies. The problem is the people who end up rising in those agencies generally are people who are in the tank with industry. And that's how they get corrupted. And one of the things that I can do, I think, better than any other political candidate is I know how to fix them because I've spent so much time litigating and studying these agencies. Now, I want to talk about one last subject. Let me do two little subjects here. Very quickly, I want to just talk about the chronic disease epidemic, because to me, arguably, this is the worst attack on the middle class in this country. We have the worst healthcare system in the United States of America. What do I mean by that? I mean that we spend more on healthcare by far than any other country, and we have the worst health outcomes. We spend $4.3 trillion annually on health, $4.3 trillion. And about 84% of that goes to treating chronic disease. Now, why is that? Because America has the highest chronic disease burden in the world. And we didn't always. In 1940s, 50s, and 60s, we had a really healthy population. We had only 6% of our people, of our citizens or children, had chronic disease. By 1988, that became 12.8%, so it doubled. Today, by 2006, it was 54%. We have the sickest generation in American history. We have the sickest children on earth in this country. And by chronic disease, what do I mean? I mean obesity, but more importantly, neurological diseases, neurodevelopmental, ADD, ADHD, speech delay, language delay, tics, Tourette's syndrome, ASD, and autism. Autism went from 1 in every 10,000 people in my generation to 1 in every 34 kids today. Now, one of the talking points that the industry and their crooked legislative or regulators will say is, oh, well, we just started noticing it for the first time. Missing autism is like missing a train wreck, so it's an absurd, but more importantly, there is study after study after study that shows that this epidemic is real. It is not the result of changing diagnostic criteria. It is not the result of better recognition. It is an epidemic. And it's common sense, because if it was changing diagnostic criteria, you'd see people my age with full-blown autism, 69 years old. I have never seen somebody my age with full-blown autism. I mean stimming, toe walking, head banging, nonverbal, non-toilet trained. And I've been around at the spear tip of people with intellectual disabilities my whole life. My aunt founded Special Olympics. I worked in it from when I was a kid. My cousin, my dear cousin Anthony Shriver, is the founder of Best Buddies. This has been in the DNA of my family. I spent 200 hours working at Wasaik Home for the Retarded in the Hudson Valley when I was a teenager. I haven't seen it. Somebody my age who looks like that, and yet in my kids' schools, there are many, many children who look like that. And why aren't we asking the question, what happened? Congress said, and by the way, there's a report that came out a couple of weeks ago that shows that the cost of autism alone to the American economy will be, just of caring for people as this group now ages, it will be $1 trillion a year by 2040. Oh, the Congress said to EPA, tell us what year the autism epidemic began. And EPA is a captive agency, but it's captive by the oil, coal, and pesticide industry, not by pharma. So it actually came out with an honest study. And EPA said it's a red line 1989. Oh, something happened in 1989, and we know that it is an environmental insult, because genes don't cause epidemics. And the only thing is, we just have to figure out what it is. There's a limited number of culprits of chemical toxins that became ubiquitous around 1989. And so, you know, that's something that NIH has a $42 billion budget. And by the way, it wasn't just those neurological disorders that started then. All these autoimmune diseases started. If you're my age, you never saw anybody with rheumatoid arthritis or juvenile diabetes when you were younger. The allergic diseases, food allergies, peanut allergies, and eczema, anaphylaxis, which now are ubiquitous, are at 27% of our school budgets are now going to special education. This is crippling to the middle class in this country. And we need to figure out what it is. And I can tell you this. When I am the President of the United States, I am going to end the chronic disease epidemic in this country. And